Imagine standing on a beach, the waves lapping at your feet. Yet, the shore is cluttered with plastic waste like bags, bottles, wrappers, glittering in the sunlight like a grim reminder of our unsustainable consumption. This image is no longer an isolated sight, but a global reality. The plastic pollution crisis is an urgent and overwhelming issue that threatens not just our landscapes, but entire ecosystem and the very future of life on Earth. Every year, millions of tons of plastic waste flood our oceans, entangling marine life, polluting the water, and disrupting the balance of marine environment. Yet, as the world grapples with this escalating crisis, the path to a global solution remains uncertain. The severity of plastic pollution is undeniable. Since the year 1950s, over 8 billion tons of plastics have been produced worldwide, and less than just 10% of it has been recycled. The rest accumulates in the landfills, rivers, and the oceans. The impact on wildlife is catastrophic, with marine creatures like birds, fish, whales falling victim to plastic ingestion or entanglement. These plastics can take centuries to degrade, and in the meantime, they release toxic chemicals into the environment, further exacerbating the pollution problem. Additionally, plastic is a major contributor to the global greenhouse gas emission, accounting for 5% of total emissions, making it a dual threat to both our ecosystem and the climate. For countries like India, the situation is particularly dire. With over 1.4 billion people, India is one of the largest producers and consumers of plastic products. The country's rapid urbanization, industrial growth, and population density have all led to an increase in plastic waste. In cities like Delhi and Mumbai, plastic waste have become a critical issue, with landfills overflowing and rivers choked with plastic debris. The government has attempted to tackle this through initiatives like the ban on single-use plastics and the introduction of extended producer responsibility, or in short EPR rules, which hold manufacturers accountable for the entire life cycle of their plastic products. However, despite these efforts, India's recycling system remains underdeveloped, and plastic continues to be an integral part of daily life, from food packaging to construction material. The recent international negotiation in Busan, South Korea, were meant to finalize a treaty to address this crisis. For more than 2 years, over 200 nations gathered to discuss solutions to plastic pollution, with the hope of creating a legally binding global framework. The discussion, however, ended in disappointment. Deep divisions between nations, particularly between the high-ambition countries advocating for the reduction of plastic production and oil-producing nations concerned about economic repercussions, led to a lack of agreement. While countries like the UK and the EU and various developing nations pushed for binding commitments to reduce plastic production, oil-rich countries like Saudi Arabia and Russia opposed such measures, arguing that cutting plastic production could hinder economic growth. India, too, faced a dilemma at this conference. The country's negotiators expressed concern that any drastic measure to reduce plastic production could impede its developmental rights, particularly given that plastic remains a crucial component of several industries. Instead, India called for a focus on waste management and sought financial assistance for developing nations to implement the necessary infrastructure for recycling and waste disposal. While India's stance reflects its need to balance environmental goals with developmental priorities, it highlights the broader struggle between addressing climate change and fostering economic growth. As the world moves forward, the fate of global plastic treaty remains uncertain. While the talks were a step in the right direction, the collapse of these discussions highlight the complexity of balancing environmental action and economic considerations. For India, the way forward will require innovative solution that addresses both the urgent need to curb plastic pollution and the reality of its dependence on plastic in various sectors. The coming years will test whether nations can overcome their differences and create a meaningful framework to combat one of the most pressing environmental issues of our time. That's all in today's video. This is your host Riya and you are watching Oneindia.
Don't miss out. Log on to oneindia.com for more updates.